All right.
All right. Welcome everyone to the School Marketing Show Live. My name is Kristen, and as always, I am joined by Mia. If you haven't been with us before, here at Finalsite, professional development and education are a huge piece of our culture. So we use this show as a way to reach schools and districts around the world to just give a quick talk each week on best practices surrounding marketing, communications, admissions, advancement, you name it. So we really choose this format to hear from you. So please feel free to use the comments and let us know what you would like to learn about so that we can use it as a topic for next week. So if you haven't been with us on the last episode, we talked about social media and the importance of responding to comments. And it's just one of those things that we hear many schools just don't know what to do with, in terms of social media comments. And that leads us to another hurdle that we have been receiving many questions about, and that is contact forms. So if you want the quick summary of what we're going to talk about today, really the moral of the story is to use shorter forms. And we're going to talk to you about why that matters, why you should shorten your forms, and how it can benefit you in so many ways. So if you find yourself questioning, why are my inquiries down? Why is site traffic up, but our form submissions are down, or anything like that, please stop what you're doing right now and let's strategize for the next few minutes. Now, Mia, I know this is a topic that you're very passionate about, so I don't know if you want to kick it off, really talk about why we're talking about forms today.
Yeah, I feel like nothing makes me geek out more than simply talking about forms and form length. And I feel like that really defines who I am as a marketer and as a person. But yeah, so coming off the heels, it's been about a month now since we hosted our virtual admissions workshop back at the beginning of August. And that workshop, I think, opened up our eyes as well as all the attendees' eyes to two main things. One, inquire does not mean the same thing at two different schools. And I think that was something that, we posed right at the beginning of the workshop. Like we asked a few different people who were there, hey, what happens after someone inquires at your school? And no two people had the same story. So all of a sudden, when we look at all of these school websites, we have these very, very, very lengthy inquiry forms that are managed through a student information system or through an admissions platform. It's basically asking for a prospective family's entire history, but yet they have no idea what's going to happen in return. And if they've already filled out a couple inquiry forms, they might have already gotten two very different experiences and they don't really know what's going to happen next. So first and foremost, forms, being able to meet families where they are in the funnel based on what their needs are in terms of form length is really important. And not many schools are doing that right now. The second thing that we realized at that workshop is forms were clearly just being treated as a very dated transaction rather than as a strategy or an experience, right? So it's just like, well, we've always used our SIS form. Why would we change anything? We've always just used our admissions platform. Why would we change anything? And I mean, the way that people engage with content online, the way that millennials in particular engage with brands online is not the same way that families engaged years ago. I mean, it's not even the same that they engaged a few years ago. So while a form is the virtual tool for saying, hey, I'm going to give you this information about myself in return for something from your company or your brand, that doesn't mean every form should look exactly the same. And I think that's really where the core of the strategy comes from. I think it's really easy to just use the same form for everything on your website, the same length, not change it at all. But we wouldn't offer, the experience of these needs to be different based on where people are in the funnel. And I know, Kristen, you had a couple good anecdotes to kind of bring this to life and maybe some things that we experience on a daily basis, both virtually and in person.
Yeah, so I think one thing that we can probably all relate to, even outside the scope of schools and districts and what you're handling right now, is thinking about it in the sense of retail. So say you head over to your favorite, website, whether it's clothing or anything like that, you may see something like a pop-up that's like, enter your email and we will send you a 20% off discount code. That's great. You'll probably put your email in, you'll get an email with that code. And then maybe, as you're going through the website, you fill up your cart. That's when you then fill out the rest of your information when you're actually ready to purchase and even use that code. Conversely, imagine if you entered that website and they asked for everything up front. So if they said, I need your email, your first name, your last name, your address, your phone number, all to get this discount code, you probably would not do it, because that's a lot to ask of someone who's just, not even ready to purchase yet. They're just looking to look around. Once you actually build up that cart, that's when you can really be more confident in getting that person to fill out the form. Similarly, imagine the in-person experience. So, just recently this weekend, I went shopping at the mall, socially distanced. I wore a mask and everything, but I was there, and it was a very similar experience to how it would be normally. You walk into the store, there's a customer service representative in the store who just welcomes you and says, hi, what, is there anything I can help you with? Is there anything in particular you're looking for? And when they ask that question, it's easy to say either no or yes, I'm looking for sweaters for the fall. Could you help me out? Imagine how overwhelming it would be if when you walked inside that store, that same person said, hi, is there anything I can help you with? Also, what's your first name, last name, email, phone number, and would you like your receipt emailed to you or printed? You would walk away so fast. That's so overwhelming right at the get-go before you even enter. It's too much to ask of someone who is really, when we're thinking about the inbound funnel, they're really at the top of the funnel. They're just looking around, not even sure if they want to purchase yet. And you can think about it the same way with your school or district. So really the goal of shorter forms is just that, is taking it into consideration where your potential family or even current family is at and what they're really looking for. So if they're looking to download something, say, they're probably less likely to provide you with all of the information that they would provide for you, say, on an application form. That obviously would be longer. So taking into consideration those stages of the funnel can really work in your favor when you're trying to make shorter forms. So shorter forms, on average, get more conversions. They actually, if you can, reduce your form fields to 4, so just 4 form fields can result in a 120% increase in conversions, which is just wild. So that can really help in your favor there, just in getting more conversions and more people into your funnel. And then it can also, I think when we're thinking about everything in total, when you're looking at a form on a page versus, an SIS form that's on a separate page and different experience, you can really make sure that you're tracking the visits to the page. So the form is directly on the page versus having an external form elsewhere that's very long. You're able to actually see who visited that page and, track that engagement versus how many form fields you actually got. So it's important in this sense, just in terms of tracking your metrics. So seeing how you're performing, actually, taking steps after that. So say you shorten the form, you put it directly on your page and you see an increase in form submissions. That's an automatic indication to you that it worked. And that's really what's going to help you move forward and improve. So I think coming off of that, it's important then to note that shortening the form will not solve everything. So Mia, would you mind just kind of going through maybe what forms won't fix so that we can really take everything, into perspective here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what's really important to remember about forms is form takes into consideration that someone has already visited our website and clicked on some type of call to action on our website to get to that form. So there's already been a couple of steps, a few different types of engagement that have already happened to help increase the likelihood that someone's actually just going to fill out that form in general. However, I think, there's some just deeper and bigger overarching issues that your school or your marketing practices might have that no matter how short you make your forms, just simply aren't going to cut it for you, right? So thinking from a digital marketing perspective, if your website just has not been redesigned in a couple of years, or maybe you had a recent redesign and it still just doesn't look great, even if someone is visiting your website and engaging with your content, even if your inquiry form is really short and on a page, if that page does not respond well on mobile, if it's just poorly designed, if you don't take into consideration just typical landing page best practices, the likelihood of someone filling out that form is going to go down. Something else that I think we don't often think about is when we're investing money, time, and resources into both search ads and social media ads, is if you're not targeting the right audience, no matter how many eyes you get on that form, even if it's super short and following all the best practices, they're not going to be the right eyes. So of course, we're not going to see those conversions go up. And then of course, there are just huge overarching factors that can sometimes be out of your control. You could be a private school located in a really good public school system that's doing all the right things with distance learning. It's going to be a lot harder to see an increase in inquiries, but that is in a short form is not going to solve that problem for you. But what the problem that a short form does solve in any of these scenarios is it gives you the opportunity to get more people in your funnel so that you can talk to them sooner and more often, answer their questions, and get to know them on a personal level, to allow you a opportunity earlier on in their admissions process to have them hear your voice and hear the voice of your community. And I think that's really like the goal of these short forms. Like, I don't think it's like, we're not trying to completely reinvent the admissions process or reinvent the marketing process. It's really just about doing those marketing communications much earlier on by getting them in the funnel earlier, by giving them a form that meets them where they are mentally in their consumer process, in their school research process. So while a short form can't solve some of those problems for you, and those are the problems that you should definitely address from the get-go, take a look at your competition, take a look at your website, take a look at your goals, take a look at your design and all of your different digital strategies that you're implementing. And if you have a short form and things aren't working, it might be time to go back and reevaluate some of those other key components that could be, causing some not like good results for your school. That being said, I think we keep talking about meeting families where they are in the funnel and kind of meeting them where they are mentally, whether it's in their consumer process or in their school research process. So one issue that we see a lot of schools have, or one mistake that we see them make, is they pretty much just have one form that's a blanket for everything. But what we really need to do is think about how many different opportunities are there to convert in the funnel and what those might look like and what forms might look like at those different stages of the funnel. So Kristen, what pages on a website should have forms, and really realistically, how many different types of forms should a school think about having in order to do this correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably one of the things that I often run into on any website, not even just schools or districts, that is just a bit of a barrier. And I think you're doing yourself more harm than good if you are just on any page just having a button that says contact us or learn more that just then goes to a standard page with the same form that's supposed to, get the information of anyone no matter what page they were on. And I think that's probably the most important thing that we're talking about here is catering that experience per where the user's at in the funnel, which we had been mentioning earlier. So if we're thinking about what pages should have your forms, definitely your inquire page obviously should have a form, so then you can capture that audience right there when they're looking to inquire on your page rather than have them go to a separate experience. If you have a request information page, having a form there that just is a more general, almost like a contact us form. I think in that sense, you don't need that much information because at that point, someone's not really sure what they want. They're just interested in your school or district. So just having them, put in their name, email, phone, that's probably all you need. Don't ask too much of them when they're that early in the funnel, just so you can get that information early on and then send out, follow-up email communications and things like that with them to move them a little further in the funnel. Similarly, if you have a view book or another download, obviously you want that form to be very catered to that piece of content. So having a form directly on that page that can let them know, hey, when you fill out this form, you're going to get this download, that just sets expectations and will really help you out in terms of getting more form fills. Now, your application page is probably the biggest exception to this rule. Obviously, in this situation, you want to take them to a page where they log in, create a user. That application process is very long, so your form will likely be long as well. So I think that application page is the one, exception to this rule. If you have any open houses or other events, things like that, again, having a specific form on those events will really help you out, set expectations, not let anyone kind of feel confused about where their information is going. And then donations. Again, donations are probably another form that might be a little longer than what we're talking about, because here, you're asking specifically for payment information and things like that. So having a specific form for that page rather than just a general form where they contact you will really help encourage those donations. Now, I think if you are thinking about all of these forms, it might be, what can we do here? Is there going to be any issues? And I know, Mia, you've definitely heard firsthand some common issues with these forms. So if you want to just jump in right there on what they can do.
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, you just listed off quite a few forms here. And for individuals who've been using the same inquiry form for everything across the board, I think that can sound really intimidating. So, you know, that being said, it's so important to think of these forms in buckets. So you have your top of the funnel. So someone who's requesting information or downloading a view book, those forms can look really similar in length in the questions that you ask versus an inquiry or an open house registration. Those are more middle of the funnel, and those can be a little bit longer, and maybe you ask for some different information at that point in time. And then of course we have like that donation or that application. So I mean, it's very bottom of the funnel. You're making your decision and you can ask for a lot more information. So that being said, we often hear so much pushback from schools just about shortening the forms because they're so nervous. You know, there's more forms to manage. You know, admissions, no offense, admissions people, we love you. You don't want to let go of that long SIS form because you need all of that information in your system. No, you don't. You don't need all that information in your system. You're good. You don't need that information until they apply. You can use your marketing platform. If you use the Finalsite platform, you can use Composer and our inbound tools. If you don't, that's okay too. But you can handle all of those preliminary communications within your marketing platform and offer a much better user experience using those shorter forms. Now, so one of the issues we hear is like, you know, we just can't get admissions to agree. The only hurdle I have, like the only advice I have for that is simply just meet with your admissions team and A/B test. I was on a call with a school last week and they agreed that they're like, okay, we're going to leave the request information button on our website as our long form because they're already on our website, like they're already engaging with us. We just want to see what happens there. But for all of our PPC and social media ads, we're going to put a much shorter form. So just have some conversations there and just do your best to compromise. And then another common issue we hear with shortening forms that people, you know, they kind of get scared is like, oh my gosh, what if we get junk leads? What if you get junk leads? You don't have to reach out to them. You can simply look, see who submitted a form and just carry on. So I think those are the two most common hurdles we hear with shortening forms. We often hear from schools pretty much instantly, and we had quite a few schools reach out to us after the virtual admissions workshop, like, hey, we shortened our form and we instantly saw an increase in conversions, or we added a form for our view book and instantly saw downloads, and now we have information for people that we wouldn't have had otherwise because they weren't ready to inquire. So I think in a lot of cases, the common issues, the common fears, the benefits of shortening your forms definitely far outweigh the risks. And so we highly encourage you to do that. So when it comes to these forms, there are, I'm sure like we've been sitting here talking for 15, 20 minutes about why you should shorten your forms and, you know, the benefits of it, but there's obviously some essential best practices that should be taken into place here as well, Kristen. So if you just want to outline, like if you could give it your, you know, best big picture, essential best practices for our schools who are going to head on over and start shortening their forms in a snap, what should they be doing?
Yes. So first and foremost, like we just talked through, have a form for every conversion opportunity. So if there's a view book that you have or, you know, an ebook that you don't currently have a form in front of, that is a great opportunity to gather some information and, you know, get families who may not be quite ready to inquire yet further in your funnel. You might be able to get that information early on. So think about any conversion opportunity that you have and consider adding a short form there just to get that conversation started. Now, with that, I would say definitely embed your forms on a landing page, because if you expect them to click through and take an extra step to get to another page with your form, you'll see that there will be a bit of a drop off. So including that form directly on the landing page will just streamline the experience. And if you want to take it a step further, I would say even let everyone know what's going to happen when they fill out the form. It may seem obvious to you, but it may not be obvious to the user. So just let them know, hey, when you fill out this form, within 24 hours, you'll be getting contacted by a member of our admissions team or something like that. Even if it's a download, you can say, fill out this form and you'll immediately get access to this ebook. Just laying that out for the user will encourage them to fill out that form. Now, along with that, I would say always, always, always have a thank you page. I think this is something that came out of our virtual admissions workshop that we had recently, that many schools and districts didn't realize that they could and needed to have. So what should happen, and really you can just create a template for yourself and then copy it moving forward, is anytime someone fills out that form, take them immediately to a landing page that offers expectations for what's next. Now, I would say it's great if you're able to record a video just in front of a camera, someone on your team saying, hi, thanks so much for requesting this ebook. view the link below to download, something like that, or even if you just write it out on the page, just setting those expectations and then also offering further opportunities for exploring your website on that thank you page can continue the journey on. So if you say, again, let's just go with the download option. If you had someone fill out a form for an ebook, offer some more content that they may be interested in. Or if they filled out an inquiry form, offer some more pages to learn more about your school, learn more about the experience, maybe a virtual tour, things like that. Just offer some more opportunities for exploring, and you'll find that your engagement will overall go up in general. Even though they've already filled out the form, continue to nurture that relationship. And then last, on your form, make sure that whatever form of contact you're asking for, so if it's their phone number, email, both, make sure that at least one of them is required so that you never run into a situation where you maybe get a name but don't necessarily get any way to contact them. Make sure that you have email or phone required just so you can continue to nurture that relationship. Now, taking all of that into consideration, Mia, I know you have a really good set of action items to go and just kind of go out on your own here and build your own strategy. What are they?
Yeah, so first and foremost, what you're going to want to do is quickly just do an audit of all the forms that you have and what their length is and kind of where they live on your website. So again, I was on a phone call with a client last week and we were just chatting about their forms and they're kind of like, hey, like we never even took into consideration the fact that when you click request information on our website, it just brings you to a totally different website experience. And a similar conversation with a school was like, oh, I never really realized that when someone has to inquire at our school, like they need to log in. Like I never really, I knew that happened, but I never just took a step back and been like, I guess that is kind of weird from a user standpoint. Like we're just asking, they just want to request information. Like it's not like you're not ready to log in. You're not you might still need to learn more about the school. So it's just kind of weird, right? Like my only option is to either hit the back button or leave. And that's not what we want to do here. So first thing you want to do, get a spreadsheet, make a list of all of the links you have to your forms, all the forms that you have that exist, how long they are. Now, once you do that, the next thing you want to do is say, okay, well, where do I what form questions do I not need to ask at different stages of the funnel? So you're just going to start replanning what you ask and when, where, and how. And you're also going to want to audit that thank you experience. So are you sending a follow-up email? Do you send them to a thank you page? Are you letting them know what to expect next? Is there something that you can improve here? Is there another opportunity you can give them to convert right there and then on the thank you page? So after someone inquires, can you invite them to a virtual open house right there and then? So doing just an initial audit of everything that you have and starting to outline how you plan on improving that is really the biggest next steps. Now, of course, what you want to do is you want your admissions and marketing team to work together. So in a lot of cases, if you and your admissions team or you and your marketing team are not on the same page, that really is step one here before you even go auditing the forms. Or I guess step 0 could be to send them this video and let them know that short forms are the key to inbound marketing and virtual admission success, especially now with so many families doing all of their research online. So working together there. Now, the goal, I think, across the board would be to have a lot of these, inquiry request information, view book download. I would say no more than 7 form fields top. I guess if you want an even number 8, but really where we're aiming, especially in the realm of view book downloads, is 3 to 5 form fields. So just start to list out what you want to ask where, and what you can do is you can ask for different things on different forms. So it's just important to document this. So you can kind of look at it from a big picture perspective from both teams. Then what you'll want to do is once you have all of your forms analyzed and you kind of have your plan in place is to go ahead and start building those landing pages. If you use the Finalsite platform, you can use Forms Manager or the Forms module to create a lot of these forms. If you don't and you are a Finalsite client, reach out to our support team because for a lot of those SIS and admissions platforms, we can actually embed that inquiry form that you're using on your platform onto the website page. So we can still get those metrics, even if you want to have the form experience be in that platform you're already using. And then, of course, when you have it up and running, it's time to analyze and repeat. Kristen, going back to what you said at the very beginning, one of the biggest flaws in the system with these SIS and admission system forms is the fact that if I go ahead and I hit inquire, I go ahead and I hit request information and I go to that form, I'm losing a lot of that important data of how people are engaging with that form on that page, when they're dropping off, how long they're being there. So I think when we think back to what our goals are here, if maybe you're not ready to let go of those forms or you're not ready to completely lose those from your admissions process early on, at least getting them onto that landing page so that we can track the data on that will be key. And then I think what that allows you to do is you're saying, hey, this page is getting 100 visits and one person submits for every 100. That gives you the opportunity to go back and say, hey, okay, maybe we do need to shorten this form. So you can always start with data if you feel like you're not 100% ready at this point in time. So that's short forms. In summary, please shorten your forms. Please consider the user experience of those long forms. Consider where people are at in the admissions funnel, in their journey, in their research stage, and even just put yourself in their shoes and say, would I request would I spend the time, even on mobile, would I spend the time filling out 20 form fields when I don't even know what's going to happen next? And I think the answer to that is no. Like we, as people, we would not do that. If I had to give away like my address and my phone number and my email and my kid's name and his birthday and all this information, and I didn't even know what I was going to get in return, I'm not going to do it. Like that is the end of story. So shorten your forms, please. Have some, have some, be willing to take some risks here and just try something new. We promise the payout will definitely be in your favor. Let us know in the comments if you've tried short forms, what the outcome has been. We're excited to hear that from you. Now, next week, as always, we're covering a topic that comes from you, our followers, and it's something that actually comes up at a lot of webinars, at a lot of workshops, and even just in our email inboxes is, hey, we heard the kids don't use Facebook. Our students aren't on Facebook. Should we be using Facebook? And we're really excited to tackle this question in a school marketing show episode because people ask it all the time. And I think it's just gonna be fun to talk about, probably almost as much fun as forms. Because Kristen, I know kind of how I feel about forms, you feel about Facebook. So I think it's going to be another good episode next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. Have a great week. And we will see you next Monday for the next episode of the School Marketing Show Live.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.